analytical work, but it has to be based on the right information, isn't it? Because you want to make sure that you have the appropriate conclusions. Those conclusions will be used to guide and shape policy. So if you have used the wrong data, so you can imagine what happens. You come to the wrong conclusions, and the policy design will be wrong, and the outcome will be wrong, and in the end, everybody is blaming everybody else. That is a low equilibrium trap. We should avoid that. And that is why I really wanted to emphasize those points. We have lived by those. We have structured policies on the basis of information available. We have think tanks to help us with the capacity in terms of analytical power. But more importantly, we have to go back to the drawing board so that institutional failure is also protected. And the right data is also dependent on the quality of the institution. So don't forget that. It's not just saying a house, an institution is a framework of doing things. So the statistics contained in 2024 Economic Survey report is going to be made available today, and I'm very encouraged and also very confident that we shall continue to note and to use that information, and it is going to provide the evidence we need in terms of decision making, in terms of projecting what we can do tomorrow, in terms of what I'm really saying here as a passionate plea that we have to protect and defend the economic recovery that we have seen, but also appreciate the results and outcome that emanate from taking the informed decisions. And that for me is very, very critical. As I conclude, because I think DG gave you an assignment, what you need to read and where you are going to look for information, I would like to thank the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics staff who have worked tirelessly to make the production of this annual report a success. I applaud the development partners for their support in financing various statistical development activities in Kenya, and more so the knowledge base for doing the right thing. I still recall when I went to the central bank, and Terry Ryan remembers that, I found some inflation numbers that did not add up, and I'm very good at asking questions, but nobody could answer the questions. In the end, because I wasn't using very kind remarks, when I could not see that monetary policy framework wasn't working, and when you try to tighten monetary policy, it wasn't working, then I said there must be something wrong. Either the inflation numbers are not correct, or growth had left us behind, or a combination of both. In the end, we realized that the aggregation, the algorithm for aggregating the data in Kenya National Bureau of Statistics was making some error, because we have a three-dimensional or even three-dimensional data space, three households, three baskets, different towns, so much, and we have to aggregate. It was exaggerating inflation by a factor of 2. And we recalculated to also recognize substitution effects in consumption behavior, and it worked very well. But the outcome was that inflation was divided by 2. So essentially I was right, and somebody else somewhere was not correct. That's the effect of that. I even argued that we should actually ask, how long have we been punished by the wrong data? We constrained growth for a long time because of the wrong inflation data. But the joke in the East African community, because everybody else in the East African community adopted the same computation of inflation, they argued the media was very good. They said, if you want to lower inflation, just follow Jogona's example and introduce a new method of computing it. It was good, but it's accurate, isn't it? So we are happy about that. That recognition is very, very important. And so, as I conclude, I wish to thank those people who have made it possible, but also the correctness of the data. You have to go out of your way to actually even check and counter-check the data, so that the results that we see are the results that we anticipate. And that statistical information is an input to the process of policy making, and we want to make sure that policy is appropriately formulated so that when we look at the outcome of the policy, it's going to be consistent with the information that we used, and there will be convergence in terms of what we anticipate. So that is why I emphasize, and that's why even coming here to launch this report is consistent with our belief that this is the input that we need to make these things happen. This is the input we need to make sure that when I talk about defending the current economic recovery, we already know what means on measures we can use. And for us, it's very, very important as we look across the sectors and we look across institutions and what we really need to do. Because the presentation was made in detail, I avoided also making the same details to you. I thought maybe the best thing is to give us an incentive or a desire to go and look into the data and look at the explanations and see whether they are consistent. And then from there, it allows us to take the UNDP strategy of saying, let's have a corrective action to protect what is right and to make sure that we can ignite economic recovery. And that, for me, is going to be very, very important. So, friends, ladies and gentlemen, with these few remarks, I now declare the 2023 Economic Survey report officially launched. I think it should be the 2024, but my notes are saying, I say 2023-2024, but let's call it the 2024 Economic Survey officially launched. Thank you very much, and good afternoon.
Thank you, Chief Guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the point where our Chief Guest, accompanied by the High Table, now proceed to the covered and unveiled report. Chief Guest, PS. Members of the press, thank you for getting into position. So the chief guest will be guided by DG KNBS. So there we go. Round of applause. As the Economic Survey Report 2024 is unveiled, choir, a little softer. Choir, a little softer. Thank you. A little softer. The next photo will be with development partners and then with members of the board of directors of KNBS. Kindly. Statistics Sweden, UNICEF, FSD, Amrika, I can see you, the World Bank. Kindly. And KNBS board. Choir, you may raise your voices.